Hello, and welcome back to Let's Talk Life, the podcast. I'm your host, Swami, and I'm here with my co-host, BoogieWho. Our mission is for artists, producers, and the industry to talk about their lives and how music has impacted it. In today's episode, we're going to talk about detachment and how it's part of life and the creative process. Stay tuned.
Let's talk life, bro.
Yeah, let's talk life. So, detachment. It's a very interesting, simple, but very hard process that I think is a part of life, but also a very big part of the creative process. How do you feel about that?
I think detachment is very important, especially when it comes to. I'm going to bring this up forever on every podcast we do. It's good for manifestation because if you are holding attachments to things, you are holding on to the energy of the past. Therefore, you're not letting the new things flow in.
So do you feel like people don't release songs because they're too attached to them?
I don't know if people don't release music or their songs because they're too attached to them or they're trying to get them so perfect. And I think people tend to hold on to it because they're like, oh, I got to do this tweak. I got to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. Bro, if the song's dope, just put it out, bro.
So that's the attachment. It's actually the attachment to perfection.
Or the attachment to the fear of it not being perfect.
Oh, okay. Like the fear of it just not excelling. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where that makes a lot of sense.
So it'd be an attachment to a fear. You got to detach from the fear completely.
Do you think a lot of times artists are too attached to the fame aspect of things and seeing that it's about money and that you can make money, but they actually don't take the time to understand the business side of things to make that happen?
I would say so, but I also think fame is so I'm very metaphysical and spiritual when it comes to this topic. I think fame has to do with your energy and your magnetic ability. Like when you detach from things and you're just walking your path and in your light, that's what turns the heads. Fame isn't like there could be a random dude walking down the street or the dude who went to your school who was mad popular. Like that dude's like famous. You know what I'm saying? Like he was exuding that energy. It's not necessarily about like actual big stardom fame. Because I mean, like if you're popular in high school, you don't really have a foundation other than just that. No reason for people to come back.
Yeah.
So once you establish that energy within yourself and you have something for people to gravitate to, whether it be music, whether you be in sports, whatever it may be, once you have dialed in and made your craft that and tuning into that energy, I think that's what fame is. And I think people are like, oh, I just want to be noticed. I just want to be seen. Well, once you get to a certain level and you bring in detachment and detach from wanting that, that's when people start turning heads because energetically you have detached from wanting to be seen and you just see yourself.
Yeah, bingo. That's such a good way of putting it because I keep hearing this phrase more and more. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are.
100%.
That's what you bring it. So, like, what I think I've noticed with it is there's, like, two dynamics with artists. And I feel like this is coming from my unique perspective, too, of just growing up. Not necessarily wanting to be the cool kid or the popular kid. And I feel like there's the one side of it being about fame and like people wanting the fame and the money and the attention. And then there's the other side of like you acting like you don't, your music is more superior and better.
That's huge.
And then it's like that elitism comes in. It's like, oh, I'm attached to the idea that I'm better than someone else or I'm better than something else. So then you're like, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be these things. I'm better than whatever that is. And ultimately it ends up blocking you in what you really want, which is connection, I feel like deep down, like
I think that's what everybody craves is connection. But people don't understand that by craving connection, you're denying yourself because you're going outside of yourself
Yeah.
for something that you have to find within yourself. Because if you can't be happy like chilling by yourself and alone, then like who's gonna want to be alone with you if you're not, you know what I'm saying?
Now that I think
Like
about it too, because
nobody's gonna want to be alone with you if you're not cool being alone with yourself.
yeah, because then you just feel like it's like a puppy dog staring at you, like
Yeah,
please, please, please.
yeah, and I had in my most like recent encounter with a woman, it was just a lot of that
Okay. Okay.
and like aggressive amounts of that,
Okay. So you gave her that
and like
shaman
no,
dick.
but it's yeah, but it's not like there's no flex on it. I want to like say this from a humble state. It's
Okay.
just it just when you are like you're really tapping into yourself and you're like okay, I'm gonna go kick it with this chick and see what's up on the vibe, and then it's just you're so level with yourself and that person hasn't done any of the spiritual work and they're just like they just cling, they just because they need that because they don't have it within themselves,
Mm-hmm.
so energetically they're just attaching themselves to you because they don't have that. But as of recent, I've been working on detaching myself from women
Yeah.
because I've got, you know me, I've got a fucking issue, bro. Like, I love women and I see them and I just want to just take in all their energy and just, yeah, but I can't
Everything.
do that,
Yeah.
bro. Because if I do that right now, shit's gonna fuck up, bro.
I feel
And
that too.
I can't do that right now. So, yeah, it's a problem. I'm working on it. I'm working
Right.
on it.
It's not that I
I'm working
can't
on it.
show love. I just understand where I am, and that if I were to come
No,
in with my own issues, well, at
my
least for me,
problem,
like,
my problem is I would show too much love and then
mm,
like give myself away to the point where there's nothing left for me. So I have to really detach from that because I'm like a lover, yo, and like most of these women have not done the inner self spiritual work, and they're just good at manipulating because they're women, and I'm good at manipulating too. But that's another thing I had to work on is not being manipulative, like because I used to manipulate situations like being all slick and being all cool and all that shit.
yeah,
And I had to detach from that and really just tap in with me because I'm on a mission right now. We're on a mission
I
right now.
feel that.
And there's a lot of people, not even just me and you, that are depending on this shit going where it's supposed to go.
It's very true. It's very true.
I mean, that kind of got a little personal rather than.
But hey, we're talking about life, and I think that the personal stories actually in the same thing with music too. Like your personal stories sometimes make the best records. Like some of the records that I haven't even dropped, I don't swear in. I really like changed my paradigm on like my approach with even what I'm doing because I've traditionally done hip hop when it comes to professional releases and stuff that I put on Spotify and DistroKid. And some of the stuff I haven't even showed you. I genuinely think there's a level that being able to talk about certain things in a way about my life allowed me to detach from things, but then also like
I feel like those records, because I have those records too. I feel
right.
like those records are therapeutic, and I don't think those are for the world because
Mm,
those are the ones that if you're an artist, you know that when you create a song, it's like the best feeling in the world once you complete the song. But when you get real deep with that and you listen back to it, it's like therapy for yourself. And it may be therapy for someone else, but it's so fine tuned and personal to you that I don't feel like those records are for the world.
ooh, and this is actually good. I'm on the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
I genuinely think me telling my story was not only therapeutic, but it actually reminded people that they weren't alone in their experience. And like
Hmm.
that is actually a very interesting perspective because I think there are some records where you're like, no, you're saying names, she's saying some shit, you're talking some shit, it's too personal. But then there's some of them where you're like, you know what? I feel like I'm not the only person who experienced this.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like there's a fine line to walk where you can help people like by dropping gems along the way, like gems, and then still making it entertaining
Yeah.
rather than it just being my diary. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, I'm not saying that that isn't a potential possibility as I excel forward or as you excel forward. Just me personally, from my perspective, I'm just like, I'll save the meat and potatoes for later, because if I give it to you now, what do you know
Thank
what
you
I'm
for
saying?
saying that.
If
Thank you
I
for
give it to
saying
you
that.
now, it's like you didn't even wait till Christmas, bro. You got all your presents early. Like, no.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way too, because I realized I pitched one of those records just kind of like on Reels on TikTok, and compared to the stuff that wasn't like that, with, and especially being relatively small in the actual reach that I have right now with the music, I realized the stuff that did better was the stuff that wasn't as personal, and it was more fun and high energy, and it just automatically off the rip got the views, got a lot of people liking it, a good amount of people disliking it, not like too many, like, because of course they love me, I'm here, you watch the show, no. but I'm kidding,
No,
but
100%.
but at the same time, like, it's understanding that, okay, it's not that it's not important to you and that it's not an important record. This is just something where if you were to drop a song like that right now, if that's not your branding, if that's not your approach, there's like a level of it being too personal to where people are like, I can't relate to it. Whereas like you're saying, I think dropping gems here and there and being vague enough, people can make their own correlations with their own life experience
A
and make
100%.
and make
And
that
that
art
and that
interpretation.
yeah, and that's what good art is. That's what good art has always been, and that's what good art always will be, because it needs to appeal to everybody so everybody can get their piece out of it. Like, whether it's the dude who goes and parties every weekend, or whether it's the chick that sits in her room and is on Facebook crying about her boyfriend, or a homie that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
anything. Like, if you make it vague, everybody gets something out of it. And I think that's what good art is.
Yeah. That's well put, because I think that good art for a lot of people, because it's been such a market of monetization, they look at it as numbers. Like, there's too many people that will see good graphic design, see good mixing, see good video, like the whole combined experience, but personally, like, the message that is captured and being put out there is really something where it wasn't it was relatable enough in the 3D sense of it's visually appealing, but it's not relatable in the, like, in how it makes you feel. And I think that that also has created this kind of confusion and discord with art now, and the art of storytelling in hip hop and in music being kind of lost, because people have found a way to make things look good and know how to polish a turd and how to market a turd, but then when it comes to their careers actually having longevity, you don't hear about them after 3 to 5 years.
Well, the artists that don't concern themselves with the numbers, and they really detach. I mean, to touch back on that, and you really detach from that, and you just focus on you and keep moving forward, keep doing what you love, keep making great music. The numbers just kind of show up, and I think that's. I mean, you hear that from any artist.
Ooh.
I just think that people have to take a step back from, like, okay, you've got 3 views, bro. But it's like, yeah, but why are you doing this? Are you doing it for the numbers? Are you doing it for fame? Because of the
Right.
look of fame? Are you doing it for clout? Are you doing it just so you're noticed and cool? Because once you get rid of within yourself, and you don't attach yourself to those things, that's when those things come. Because this music isn't just about being cool and making music. What people don't realize is doing music is about spirit, and tuning in with spirit, because you can't do this to a major level without being tuned into who you are in your spirit. Because if you're attached to those things, the universe is not going to give that to you.
And that's very interesting that you say that too, because there's questions that I have about that too, in the sense of, does that mean that the person who's actually writing the record at a very high level is that who's bringing the spirit? And then are there people that are actors? Because a lot of people don't.
I think that's why people gravitate, because the
Mm,
individual is at a elevated state and they are bringing insight to those around them, and I think that's what gravitates people, is the fact that the artist is bringing insight. It doesn't matter what artist it is, any artist that really loves their craft and really does this, I think they're so tuned in with spirit and who they are and have so much life experience and knowledge to share with people that people just naturally gravitate, and that's where the numbers come from. And but that's not the focus of the artist. The focus of the artist is finding themselves doing, like, just being in tune with spirit, like,
right.
really. And I mean, when you put it all out there and you got the music videos and you got the shows and everything's popping, like, everybody's looking at it like, oh, this is the cool shit. Like, yeah, it's the cool shit, but I think that's like the trick of spirit on the other side. Like, yeah, let me trick you into coming and seeing what your life really is.
Wow, that's a very interesting way of putting that too, because I do think that the one this is what I want to clarify with what you said is like real numbers where you're actually getting recoupment and you're doing it right and you're running it like a business, because I've learned that
I
it's
think that
very
focus. I think that focus. Any huge artist. I think that focus. I think that focus is bullshit. Any real artist that loves making music, I don't think they even give a fuck. Like, they'll get
right.
to a level where they're like, "Yeah, I got this and I got that," and they're stunting. But it's that, even they're talking that shit, bro. But they don't give a fuck, bro. They just want to get in the booth.
But that's the good thing that you're saying, like somebody, so that's what you would define as a real artist, because
A
I think
hundred
I
percent.
think some people do get lost in the fact that there's literally an entire market where
And those people come and go.
exactly, and I think that's super important with this is like detach from if you detach from the idea that it's about the quick fame, you understand that it's about living a long and fruitful life and
A
planting
hundred percent.
seeds all across the globe so that people can grow and pull fruit and knowledge from the tree
A
and
100%.
and
That's
actually
why people
attain it.
gravitate to. That's why people gravitate to artists,
Yeah,
because they're like, what does that person know that I don't?
right.
They can feel it. They're. It's not even. See, I don't want it to come across in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, they can. It's just people gravitate to it, man. They gravitate to individuals who are in tune with themselves because they want to get in tune with themselves. That's what I'm getting to with it.
Right.
They want to feel that in tuneness with themselves, so they gravitate to people.
They want to feel in tune, so they tune in. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's like, it's just a gravitational thing. It's not even about like the person being egotistical about it.
Right.
It's about the person understanding like themselves, and then they gravitate people to them that they're looking for themselves too, just like that person was looking for themselves the whole time. So
Wow.
people gravitate to that.
Yeah, that's super important too, because I think that also goes into the next thing I want to talk about. You know, there's some days that you don't always make good music, and I think we were talking about this earlier when we went to the gym. It's just like it's actually the days that you don't want to do it and the days that you feel like crap are actually the days that matter the most. So I think personally, detaching from the idea that you're always going to make good music actually helps you embrace the idea that your idea of what good music is like always determined on how you feel right now about it. Because I feel like there's times I listen to a song that I loved and then I heard it the next day and I was like, I don't like it. And then the next day I'm like, I love it, but I'm questioning if it's genuinely my attachment to the song.
It could be your attachment to what's being spoke on in the song.
Yeah.
Because, so I had a huge dilemma when I was like trying to figure out like, oh, why is everybody listening to like this like trap shit and all this,
Yeah.
like all this is negative, like, and me having the attachment to looking at that as negative and not understanding like, yo, these people really experienced that, or whatever it may have been,
Or
like,
seen a level or gain some wisdom from people that literally are around them, been through it, and are just letting them know, like,
I mean, me coming from where I come from and then losing everything and ending up out on the streets in the hood, it's like
yeah,
my whole perspective on it completely flip flop, because you got to understand this shit's about survival at a certain point, and people are scared.
yeah,
People are scared. People are really out there like, yo, I don't know which move to make.
yeah,
People are really like, motherfucker, I've been, bro, like,
right,
you don't know which move to make, but that's the thing is you have to just trust, like, that's the thing with spirit, man. You got to trust
yeah,
that everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to be. I, I still am, since I'm out where I'm at, I'm still like wanting to like, carry a weapon and shit like that.
right.
But it's just spirit keeps telling me like, nah, bro, just keep doing what you're doing. Spirit, I keep getting confirmation from everybody like, nah, bro, just keep doing what you're doing, and you're just gonna help people by being on your path and understand that everything is, when everything's falling apart, y'all, that's when everything is coming together.
Yeah, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and that could
When
be
when
physical,
everything
mental,
around you is
spiritual.
when everything around you is falling apart, that's when everything's coming together, and you have to understand that. But if you've never experienced that or been through a hardship in your life, that is a hard concept to to
Wrap your mind
believe
around.
in, to wrap
Yeah,
your mind in, to wrap your mind around, to believe in, because if you've never, it's got to happen several times. Like, it's
yeah,
repetition. Everything comes with repetition. Things have to happen more than one time for you to learn. You can't just, like, when you went to school, remember when they had you write the sentences over and over and over again?
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? So repetition. You don't learn something by it only happening one time. Like, why is this happening to me? It's not happening to you. It's happening for you.
yeah, yeah. I've definitely had that thought a few times when I would be working on a project in Ableton, and then it crashes. But then when I try to reboot the file, literally all the files go missing, and you're like, oh, why? And really, the lesson was don't be so attached to the idea of everything working out, and also it kind of like have a Boy Scout mindset of things where it's like expect the best but prepare for the worst in all
Mm-hmm.
aspects. So learn how to be more efficient, learn how to back up your projects, learn all of these tools, so then if something does come up, you're not worried about if something comes up, you're prepared when something comes up, and you're not.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And
Yep,
sometimes, I'm going to tell you like this, sometimes you're not going to be prepared,
right,
and you're going to have to figure it out, and you're going to just have to go through it to learn. And it's not, it's it's always spirit trying to throw you onto the correct path.
right.
And if you want to go against that and resist that and cling to the past that spirit's trying to like move you on from because you've outgrown it, I you're just going to keep repeating the same cycle, and that is terrible. I repeated the same cycle for like 8 years.
Yeah,
It's hell, it's depression, it's anxiety, it's not fun, but I mean, I went through it and figured it out.
right.
It just took me time. Like, yo, just let go, detach. Like, that's the theme. That's the entire theme for this whole podcast. Is just detach, detach from it, detach from the fact that you're looking for love outside of yourself. Like, detach from the fact that, like, oh, I want somebody to comfort me. Like, no, bro, comfort yourself, and then the universe might bring somebody to comfort you.
Right. And I think also too, if you have never done this before, a good thing for me and a good practice that I have is like ask yourself why and do it in a journalistic way, but don't just be critical of yourself. Write the first thing that comes to mind, because a lot of times you start realizing those attachments really might come from your needs not being met, even to the point of you being an infant Like it could be that far back of you feeling like your needs not ever being met, and because they never were, you just shut yourself down. You shut that part
Mm-hmm.
of yourself down, and I think that's also why people gravitate towards music, is because it reminds them of that part of themselves that they want to connect with again, but they feel like they don't know how, because there's been so much programming that has been put on by either what you see in the world, all of your five senses have experienced in some sort of way. Like, you might smell some shit, means I'm not going to go over there. I
The
touched a hot
problem
stove. It's stuff like
the
that.
yeah the problem right now in the world is that people, there's too much judgment.
Yeah.
People have too much judgment. So even like right now with what I'm doing, I have to be very particular with how I present myself. Presentation is everything. And I'm sure people are going to try to eat me up on some of the things we've talked about
Yeah.
here. You know what I mean? They're going to try to eat me up, take little 10-second clips and try to fry me. But the perception is everything. So you have to be conscious of the perception doing this too, because people are going to view you this way and judge you this way. But if everybody just detached from judgment and all that, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem. But that's part of the society we live in right now. People are judgmental, people are egotistical, people are all on their own paths. And I think once for me, once I realized, like, okay, that person may be judging me, but they're on their own path and they just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
That's like giving forgiveness to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they say that forgiveness isn't for that person, it's for you. And that's so much the truth, man. Like, forgiving others for them not understanding will bring you so much more peace.
Wow. Forgiveness of others about that too, because I feel like a lot of times that ego part of you comes in, and it comes into like, you have a bad show, you have something that just like didn't work out the way it was, you have a promo that doesn't work out, and all of a sudden, like, first of all, you don't even forgive yourself
Mm-hmm.
about what happened. But then also, I felt like deep down, before I'd even think of that, I would be thinking of other people and being like, why don't they appreciate me? And realistically, it's like, no, that person hasn't even seen their own paradigm and forgiven themselves at the end of the day, and that's what's being reflected and projected in this case.
People don't acknowledge others and actually show them that they're appreciative of them because they are, I don't know, too prideful, or
Right.
they just flat ass don't appreciate it. And that's usually that. What I've found is that's a lot of people. I didn't appreciate things for a long time. I took a lot of things for granted. So how
Yeah.
can I judge the next man for not appreciating and taking things for granted because they're on their own path too? So
Right.
how can I judge that person for not appreciating? And I mean,
And
I be getting a little pissed about these bitches though. They don't be appreciating shit, but that's look, see, that's me talking shit. I shouldn't even be saying no shit like
yeah.
that, because that's gonna stop me from manifesting. You know what I mean? So I have to be like, yo, I have to just understand, like, yo, they're just not there.
What I was going to
And
also say
you know what
is,
I mean?
judgment of others is judgment of yourself. And a lot
A
of people
hundred percent.
don't think about it that way, because the way I think about life, and I think about the universe too, because we do like to get metaphysical on this podcast personally. I really
Mm-hmm.
think we are the Most High experiencing itself in different forms. So I am you and you are me. We are just but a reflection of each other. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like somebody, they're just reflecting back things you don't like about yourself. And as in the great I am, that part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that's what the acceptance is you're not looking for plus or minus. You're looking for the magnetic connection in the center and the neutrality. Like, you're not looking to repel by giving them the same energy. You're also not looking to attract
You gotta
by
remain
giving the
neutral.
opposite. You got to
You
be
gotta
somewhere in the
remain.
middle, or
You gotta remain neutral.
you're going to either push the magnets, push away the magnetism, or you're going to get crushed by it.
Yeah, and if you step into the resistant energy and you get into that, you're gonna you're gonna jump into somebody else's karmic cycle. That's why people get
Mm,
into these relationships and they don't understand anything about spirit or who they are, or have conscious awareness, and they get tangled up into all this shit and don't even know why they're tangled up into all this shit because they haven't done the self work to figure out like when to walk away, when to recognize that that person has some shit going on that
wow. And
I just can't do. And that's when like knowing your worth comes in and self-worth. But I mean, you have to develop self-worth and value.
that's
and,
powerful,
and
man.
you have to develop self-worth and value before you can even recognize what not to do. You know,
Right.
like what chick not to fuck, what dude not to get into a relationship with. You know, like that's huge.
Right.
But it takes time to even do that. So I would say spend time alone. The person's got to spend time alone. And by me even saying that just reminds me like, yo, tap in with you.
Yeah.
Spend time alone and just kick it and love people and talk to people from a distance. Don't let them into your energetic field right now. You are building yourself. You are in a transformation state, a time of transformation. Don't there's no need to let anybody in right now. You can talk to people from a distance and
Yeah.
love people from a
That's
distance.
so interesting too, because like your transformation might trigger something within them that
It
just
does all the time, bro. I was
right.
just talking to one of the girls that I like really have like forever. It's been like we speak, we don't have to speak. There's like that communication. I can say one thing and she knows what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like that. But it's just I said something and then she just snapped back at me and said that, oh, you're looking into it too deep. I literally wasn't looking into it too deep. I was looking at it for what it was, and the fact that she didn't understand what I was saying, I had to fall back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
That's understood now too, because it's you can't expect everyone to understand. You can understand that you understand, and I feel like DMX actually before he had passed, he had a really powerful interview I thought with Drink Champs, and where he talks about that he's like. It takes a lot of energy to not trust people. You should actually trust people for exactly who they are. Like if you see a snake, know that it's a snake and know that it's going to bite you.
100%. And a snake doesn't mean actually like somebody who's like a snake and is gonna like steal from you. Somebody might just steal your love. Somebody might just steal your time.
Yeah.
Somebody might just steal. You know what I'm saying?
Just
They might.
energy, like your energy of being
It's,
around it, like they might be too negative, and
they
yeah,
they can just steal from you and zap you. It's not even about like actually somebody being like the quote unquote snake. It's about
it's
that.
unconscious, you know.
Yeah, but you just have to create that awareness within yourself to get to the next level. And by just speaking on it and me knowing that I understand it, it's like I'm good, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I got too much to even worry about within myself, not outside of myself, within myself. Not even worry about, just
address,
to feel out,
right.
like to like actually like be aware and have the conscious awareness to be able to feel how I feel is a huge thing.
Yeah,
And you can't tell how you feel when you're surrounded by people 24/7 because you're not paying attention to you. You're distracted by the physical person that's in front of you.
that's very true. And
You know?
sometimes those people, I think if you get around some people, like there are certain people that know how to feel and they understand feeling and the emotional process, like and that just goes to say too, like for people that are struggling with their mental health and things like that, like go seek therapy in different forms. Don't be afraid to reach out and communicate to those types of people, but have a level of understanding when you are actually having certain feelings and
a
things
hundred
come up.
percent.
Even if you go to therapy, you still are going to have to be with yourself at the end of the day and be with that feeling. But you just understand that those people they may trigger you, but the point was for you to understand why you were triggered, like why
I
that was even
I think
happening.
the best thing is a lot of people will complain and
Yeah.
point the finger and be like, this person did that, or so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't complain. If you complain, that means you're just pointing the finger outside of yourself that this is happening outside of me, and so on and so
It's
forth.
out of
Once
my
you just
control. Oh
yeah,
no.
I mean,
Yeah.
some things, yeah, some things are out of your control. Like a lot of things are out of your control. But I'm saying when you start pointing the finger outside of yourself and saying this person did that, it just you're not addressing within you. Like that's when you realize that that you shouldn't be complaining about it. You should be trying to figure out, okay, let me detach from that person because I don't like that. That's
Yeah.
really all it is. You're really saying this, but then you go kick it with that bitch next weekend. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
whose problem is it really?
Yeah,
You know,
I had to realize that
it's
too.
yours. It's not, and it's not even like that bitch.
It's not even there.
You may just not like that bitch, right? But the fact that you keep going to kick it with that bitch, that problem is you at that point.
Yep, that happened to me too. I realized there was somebody I was like, talking to on Snapchat for a minute, and then I realized it was very much like there wasn't real conversation, there wasn't real connection. It was very much I could tell at one point they were getting what they wanted, and I like cut off connection with them, but then I came back around thinking, oh, maybe it was me or I should change something. And then I realized again, like, wait, no, this is me trying to find something in someone else that really was within me the whole time and expecting
Mm-hmm.
them to nurture that part of myself without saying it. And that's the manipulative part of sometimes why you might people please, because you might be attached to past events
People
or
pleasing is
past
so
all
people
that.
pleasing is a bigger issue than people make it out to be. People pleasing
Yeah,
can destroy your life.
people pleasing is a bigger problem than people. And
Yeah.
I think it's
Yo, that was heavy, bro.
that's heavy, but I think that's almost like a good way to end this, because I think um going into this, you can see how that becomes a thing in the studio sometimes with certain people that you work with or ways that you do deals, or maybe even the thought of,
That's
there's
huge.
literally a whole argument that has been made of some people saying, would you ever do a record with your favorite artist if you knew that they were going to make all the money and you wouldn't get a dime out of it? And the answer for me is no, because I know my worth and I understand that if they wouldn't pay me, they don't understand the value that I really bring to the table. But
Yeah.
and the thing is though, and I mean $0 as in no equity either. Like
Yeah.
you would have 0%. So it's just kind of like you were there. But
Yeah.
really you made an impact on that. And I think that talking about that segment in a deeper way, like, because people pleasing is part of the awareness of the detachment process. It's something
Mm-hmm.
where I think it's so common in the industry. We literally could talk about that as like an entire episode, pretty much.
Literally was the entire episode.
Well, no, this was detachment,
I
but
know we talked about detachment. It just was the entire episode.
people pleasing definitely could
Oh,
be a
people
good,
pleasing.
as
Yeah,
a
that's
whole
definitely a good
segment.
topic.
Like that's a whole big,
People pleasing is
because
huge.
there's so many different people that are involved in the music industry, like your graphic designers, your lawyers, your road managers,
Everything.
other
And that's
artists,
the
all
thing. This
that.
is such a delicate thing to step into, and you have to be so self aware to know how to delegate with people, not people please, still say no and move forward,
Yes,
but without damaging relationships.
absolutely.
It's deep.